Okay, so I am here today with Rachel Lank. She is a gut health coach based out of Florida. And just to give you a little bit of a bio on Rachel, she is a registered nurse, a certified gut health coach with a mission to conquer abdominal bloating and promote overall health through gut wellness, which is, I think, something that we could all use. Her personal
Mm.
experience as a digestive disease nurse and her own journey with gut issues gives her a unique perspective to help clients. Outside of work, she enjoys quality time with her family, especially her grandkids, volunteering, gardening, and walks on the beach. So, welcome, Rachel. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. Yeah,
Nice. Okay.
good.
And we're also going to have it on YouTube. I do add all my videos to YouTube as well. So whether you're a podcast listener or YouTube person, you can find this interview either place. So, okay. And I have a big list of questions that we have for Rachel. And are you ready, Rachel, for me to get going here?
All
Okay.
right. Well, that's
You ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
It
All
cut out.
right. All righty. So, Rachel, what led you to specialize in gut health coaching and how does it intersect with overall wellness? That I think is something we would all love to know. How did you get involved in this?
Oh, well, um, I've been a nurse for a very long time. Entered the digestive health arena back in 2004. And to start that part of my nursing career. And then actually during that part of it in 2007 or so, I began to have my own digestive distress and disease things going on with me. And at the same time, taking care of patients, and so I just was under the care of the doctor actually that I worked for. But was just, experiencing a lot of digestive problems. And there was a lot going on in my life actually at that time too. So it wasn't, we'll learn a little bit later, different areas of what affects, gut issues and gut things. But long story short, I had many tests. I was on expensive medications, taking over the counter medications, you find at the local Walgreens or drugstores and on the shelf. For many years. That spanned about 7 or 8 years and still was not feeling well, even though I was doing what the doctor told me to do, modifying some foods or taking the medications. So I was actually diagnosed with something called gastroporesis eventually. It took many tests after test after test. And so that did give me some answers. And for those of you, what is gastroporesis? What that is your stomach empties slowly. And when your stomach empties slowly, the food does not move down your colon, so it tends to ferment in your gut. And that was causing a lot of my problems. But even the medications that I was taking for that to help speed that up was only helping me part of the time. So I didn't feel well most of the time. So I in 2019, I said there has to be another way, and so I don't want to be taking this medication for the rest of my life. And that's when I began my journey, and I found it. Partnered with a functional medicine chiropractor actually here in town, and she helped me on my journey, to get my gut well, although that's not what we called it back then, but that's my term, my coin. And, since then, after just a few weeks, I found relief and I was able to get off the medications. I don't have to have tests. I don't have to keep going back and see the doctor. And so I feel well most days. And I say most days because if I get off track, of my eating, say I'm on vacation or, there's holidays and whatnot, there's times when my gut doesn't feel so well, but because I've learned what I've learned, I know how to get back on track. So I know there's others out there suffering like I did because I encountered them in the practice. And I don't, I have a passion for helping them because, they may be going, what else can I do? And they just don't know, you don't know what you don't know. So
Right.
that's why I'm just on a mission to do this. So because when your gut feels bad, you just feel terrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people out there that struggle, and I don't think there's a lot of answers out there. Um, I see a lot of patients that, their gut is like the biggest, it's like bloating, it's like everything, all of the different um, symptoms that you find, all related to gut health issues. And there isn't a lot of answers. So, can you explain the importance of gut health for overall well being and how it affects various aspects of our
Mm.
lives? Like, talk to us about like just gut health and how important that is.
Okay, sure. So gut health is your gut holds about 70% of your immunity. So if you think about that, that's, there's only 30% left, right? So the gut is responsible for a lot of, wellness in you. And the gut is also called the second brain. So your gut health is so important because it can affect, you know, it can affect things like, getting the common cold more often, or even maybe a precursor to autoimmune disease, or of course things like irritable bowel disease, or Crohn's. Of course, you think of that, but you don't think of skin irritations. You don't think of brain fog when you think of your gut. You don't think of depression or anxiety being related to that. Of course, constipation and the other changes in your bowel habits you would think of, but your gut is just related to so much of your health, including even cardiovascular health and brain health too. There's been links with dementia and some studies in children with ADHD, because your brain and your gut are connected. There's a nerve that runs here from your brain to your gut and back and forth, and they're constantly in communication. So if your gut isn't well, your mental health will be affected as well. So it has a wide aspect of your overall health.
So, when patients come to see you, are they aware that it controls so many things, or are they just like, I'm having issues, like, fix me? They don't understand all of that connection. Is that something that you have to do a lot of education?
I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just,
Mhm.
and that's been my journey too, is to just help educate.
Mhm.
They may come to me, clients or patients, they come for the symptom,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
then you dive into their diet or even their lifestyle, because it could be high stress, other things that are affecting their gut. I have clients that I see for anxiety or wanting to lift their mindset, depression and whatnot. So, I focus on some life coaching as well, but also health coaching, because normally
Right.
their diet
Yeah.
is the typical Western diet here that we have in
Mhm.
America.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So, what are the common misconceptions about gut health do you encounter? What do you normally see in terms of like maybe how people are being treated? What are some things that you see that probably are not the case?
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question. And, even though gut health is more talked about more
Hmm.
in today's than it was, even when I started investigating it and whatnot, it's still, people don't know.
Hmm.
People don't know about the gut health. And like you said, educating quite a bit.
Hmm.
And so some of the misconceptions would be, about the gut and the brain going hand in hand. To improve your gut health, you'll lift your depression and your anxiety. Another one would be, stubborn weight, where it could be a diabetic trying to lose that weight and it just won't come off, and then a lot of times it's very much linked to your gut microbiome, which is the bacteria in your gut. There's about 100 trillion different bacteria in your gut. It's a lot. And when that is out of ratio, meaning the term is good and bad bacteria,
Yeah.
when there's a higher ratio of bad bacteria, that inhibits somebody from losing weight. And they often, they didn't know that. And then I work with them to help them get their gut well, get the ratio more good, or at least even, and they start to find relief and can start losing weight. They'll increase their energy with that. And then also some of the misconceptions that I do see in the modern, I have a lot of respect for doctors, also a registered nurse, but they're not that's about, this is like the holistic and the functional side. That's the medical side. So they're not taught that. And in fact, that's not something they normally speak of at all, about just getting your gut bacteria. They prescribe the antibiotic to fix the small, what's called SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where that good and gut bacteria is out of ratio. So you don't always, the antibiotic will actually kill all of your bacteria, the good and the bad,
Right.
and it takes years to rebuild it. So that's a misconception.
Right. Right. Awesome. Well, I think education is key when it comes to those types of things. And in today's medicine, I hope there are changes, because we see a lot of people not getting better from a lot of the current treatments. So yeah, it's people like you that help make that difference. So how do you approach individualized coaching for clients with different gut health needs and challenges? How does it work when somebody comes to see you as a patient? How does that work?
Okay. Yeah. So again, it's through the education, but initially clients, and I call them clients because even though I'm a registered nurse, I'm not able to treat them, like a patient. They get all of my education, they get my experience, but it is important, that they're with the patient aspect, they're more of a client. And they get in touch with me and we say, okay, let's set up a time. And they actually fill out an intake form. And it would be something similar to what you would fill out going to the doctor's office. It gives a background of their overall health pictures. It includes what do they eat in a day, what medications they're on, so I can know if there's any contraindications of things, what diseases they may have now, say it's high blood pressure, or maybe they are diabetic, or they suffer from an autoimmune disease, all sorts of things. And then after that, I look at that and we do a discovery call. It's a free consultation, and they tell me what they would like to achieve, their health goals and what's all going on. I tell them about the program and how it works. And then, importantly, we see if we're a good fit for each other. So based on what they're telling me, what their symptoms are and what they'd like to achieve, it's unique. What I treat when somebody comes to me for heartburn, it's going to be slightly different than if somebody comes for constipation, or if they're constantly suffering from, like I said, that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and they want to stop taking the antibiotics. So it's unique. There's a baseline, but there's tweaks to it because everybody's, we're all unique.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's so interesting. I just think that this should be part of just a normal treatment plan for every patient. Between that and food and sleep, it's like these are the basics.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Can you share some tips, practical tips for improving gut health that you pretty much think that anybody could benefit from, like in their daily routine? What do you can you share with us some things that people can do?
Certainly, certainly. And I do like to give these tips, and people can do with them what they like, but they do work. In fact, I like to really give tips where they don't have to spend any money and they can start them right away.
Yeah,
So those are the
great.
type of tips. These are my top three. The number one thing that someone can do to improve their gut health is to chew their food to mush. And I always say MUSH.
Mhm.
And what that looks like is say 20 to 30 times, depending on what you're eating, but before you swallow. And what that does is, it makes the food the consistency, say, of cottage cheese or oatmeal or maybe even yogurt, according to what you're eating. And it helps the stomach break it down because the stomach is not meant to break down large chunks of food. So if the typical American here or in the world, chews their food 5 to 6 times before swallowing. If you think of that with like a piece of steak or you're eating a sandwich or something, but if you consciously be mindful of that, chewing 20 to 30 times, you keep moving around with your tongue so it doesn't sneak back down your throat because that's what it wants to do. It's the nutrients are better absorbed, and that gut lining will thank you for that, over time. The next one is one of the best things anybody can do is drink a glass of room temperature, or if you can do this, slightly warm water in the morning before you have any other drink, even if you're not shifting any of your other habits. Maybe you got to stay away from coffee because it causes you heartburn and or tea or whatever. But even whatever your morning drink is, have a glass of water, that 8 to 16 ounces. And that will help to flush your system. One, because who normally goes 6 or 8 hours during the day without something to drink, right? So you're dehydrated,
Right.
and because of the breathing and just the normal body functions. And it helps to flush out and just get your digestive system going. And that's important too. Your digestive system needs to be flowing. So that's a really good, simple thing to do. And then the third big thing I like to give tips on is after you eat your meal, at least once a day. It's good if you can do this maybe at lunch and at dinner or however many times. Take a leisure walk for 5 to 10 minutes after your meal. It doesn't have to be long, and it's not a speed walk. That's not the time you think of doing a heavy workout because you might cramp up. But what that leisure walk does is, again, gets the digestive juices flowing so that it's going to be, it just activates the digestive system. So if you suffer from constipation, this is really a great thing to do. If you suffer from bloat, this helps you not to be bloated, so yeah. You can do this around the house. If you can get outside, that would be fabulous because nature helps your gut too, just being outside.
Mhm.
But if you can't, just do it around your house, or if you're at work, stand in place, at your desk.
So you mentioned 3 tips: chew your food to mush, drink room temperature water in the morning first before any coffee or tea or any other beverage, and take a walk 5 to 10 minutes after your meal.
That's right. Yeah, I can
Awesome.
just, yeah,
Awesome.
it's
So
three
how
simple.
easy is that? Easy, right?
Yes, yes. They don't have to depend on anybody to do that.
Right.
It's free.
Free. And
They're
we love
great.
free. We love free. Love it.
Yes.
Okay. So, moving on to the big one.
Oh,
This is what I love to talk about, and that
okay.
is, what role does nutrition play in supporting your gut health? Are there any particular foods or supplements you recommend? So
Oh, yeah.
nutrition.
Yeah, let's talk nutrition.
Mhm.
So, It does play a major role, but it's not everything, right? But
Okay.
for
Yep.
this question, we're going to talk about nutrition. So for the foods that I mean, the list could go on, but I picked a few of my favorite that are really key. And one is ginger.
Okay.
Ginger helps with, again, speed up the digestive system. So somebody like myself who has gastroporesis, where it's slow,
Mhm.
ginger helps. You could use that in you know, the powder, or a spice that you get from the store. You can get it fresh as well. Just wash it, cut it up, and you can make ginger. I have a famous secret debloat tea. It's called the ginger lemon tea. I have that recipe. If anybody hears this and wants that, they can message or put that in the comments.
Okay.
Another one is sauerkraut, because that's good for prebiotic. It helps to feed the good bacteria. And doing as much organic as you possibly can, is what your budget allows.
Mhm.
Because organic will help, just be free of the toxins and the pesticides and, all the other things that are on our foods that are at the store, that because they're being mass produced. But organic is the best if you can do that. It'll be easier on your digestive system. And that goes along with like grass fed, free range meat and eggs as well. No antibiotics, because those antibiotics, there's a saying, you are what you eat.
Mhm.
It's a little bit tongue twister, but you are what you ate. So if your cow is eating,
Mhm.
the corn, and they're
Yep.
given the antibiotics, you're
Mhm.
actually getting that. So it affects you too. Olive oil's a super gut food. Your
Mhm.
gut it's so comforting to your gut. So don't be afraid of olive oil. It's great for your cholesterol too. And then, of course, an abundance of color of vegetables, because your gut microbiome, the good and bad bacteria, love color. So if you can get red and green and yellow and, a red onion versus a white onion, the red onion cooked or raw, if you like that, your gut will benefit more from that. And the green leafies. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And
Supplements. I didn't go over that. I'm
supplements.
so sorry. One of the things that really helped me
Mhm.
that I was prescribed was L-glutamine powder. And what it does is helps to heal the intestinal lining, which is just a thin mucus
Mhm.
around your gut. And you drink it on an empty stomach, and you can mix it in with that glass of water in the morning time. So it's simple.
Okay.
The berberine capsules, licorice root, and zinc are good ones. So, and again, it depends on the client's uniqueness
Mhm.
as to what I
Mhm.
suggest. But yeah,
Mhm. Yep. A lot of supplements that people are not aware of. Like, a lot of people don't understand the benefits of certain things. So, yeah, I mean, and again, with any supplement, you always need to make sure that you consult with your
absolutely.
primary care provider to make sure you're able to take supplements. So, um, but there are
Yes.
lots of things out there that can help, and it's good to be educated. It is good to advocate for yourself when it comes to supplements. One funny story I want to share with a patient that I had probably about a month ago. We talked about food and real food. And this patient, I'm working really, really hard to try and help,
Mm,
with better choices. And when it comes to real food, like, there is a misconception with it doesn't matter what age. So when I say real food, I mean foods that are like its natural state. So like an apple, or an
right.
orange, and not pizza or a hamburger. Like, that's not real food. So those are more processed with a lot of different things. So trying to eat things in its more natural state. Yeah. And organic is a huge plus. If you
Mhm.
can budget organic, that's even better. Okay, so next question.
Right.
How how does stress and lifestyle factors impact gut health, and what strategies do
Well,
you recommend?
okay. Okay. All righty. Very good. It cut out a little bit. But about the strategies, do I recommend is when I was, let's see, when you have life issues, you have health issues. When you have health issues, you have life issues. And this really does apply to your gut. So think about it. If you're stressed and overwhelmed or anxious, this will shut down your digestive system, especially when you're eating. It stimulates that sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight or freeze. And unfortunately, the world, we're like in this chronic low level of stress because all the negativity, and we have so much to do, and we have so many choices in the internet, basically, right?
Yep.
So strategies to overcome some of these things, including that I like to tell clients, this is really what I recommend, and I actually do a lot of this myself, is to incorporate fun, something you like to do into your day or your week. Do things that you enjoy, that nurture you, your mind, body, and soul, because your gut, this nurtures your gut. Because remember the connection there, the brain and the gut connection. Getting outside in nature is pretty huge, because you just everybody will respond to nature. Just as simple as going out and smelling the garden, the roses, or if you have flowers out in your garden, or listening to the birds, or if you get a chance to see the sunrise. Another one is spending time with family or friends, or those, that you're close to, that you really enjoy. And because connection is so important, again, for the gut. So, and just think about this. I know everybody is rushing around. I'm one of those people too. But it doesn't necessarily have to take a huge chunk of your time. If you did a couple of minutes every day just to get outside, and get some sunshine, that will be helpful. Or an hour a week, if you say, okay, I'm going to schedule Saturday morning for a week for a walk outside, that'll help lower your stress, which will improve your gut health.
Again, free. These simple things,
Free.
free. Yep. I think a lot of people just don't understand that connection, like it is a constant state of go, 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 and we're just, trying to do more things, and there's never enough time, and you just
Right.
gotta take the time and just enjoy life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. Are there any emerging trends or research findings in the field of gut health that you find particularly interesting or promising?
Okay, I like that question there. Lately, I've been researching the amazing effects of castor oil.
Mhm.
It's quite a buzzword right now, actually.
Mhm.
And I found some research on the digestive health of that, and I'm just starting to test it out, and might incorporate it into the coaching program. It
Mhm.
has an array of benefits, and but as far as gut health goes, it can help with constipation and maybe some bloating as well.
Hmm.
So stay tuned.
Okay. Okay.
You don't even have
Awesome.
to swallow it, right?
Really?
You
I've
can just
heard
apply it.
yeah, I've heard that. I have actually heard that.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Okay. What are some of the common signs or symptoms that may indicate that you have an imbalance in gut health? So what are some of the common things people see, and when should they consider seeking professional guidance?
very good. Okay, so you know, all my clients come to me, and I do really stress this, just like we said before. It's always important to seek guidance from your medical provider, right, about the supplements.
Yep.
So this is when I have a discovery call with a client, I do ask them if they have seen a doctor for their symptoms, or what's going on. And because I want them to have anything serious ruled out first before they come to me, because that was my story,
Right.
because as you know, bloating could be a sign of something much worse, right?
Mhm.
Or,
Mhm.
even heartburn and acid reflux, you still need, to have that EGD to look at it, right? To
Right.
see what's
Right.
going on inside your throat.
Mhm.
So those are the types of clients that actually come to me. They have had all the tests, they've taken the medications, they've done the same exact thing that I did,
Mhm.
and all is normal. Or maybe they do have a diagnosis and they just want to see if there's a different way to do it where they don't have to keep taking medication.
Okay.
So I'll start that out first. Answer the second part of the question first. But the common signs and symptoms that may indicate a disbalance, dysbiosis is the term for it, where it's out of ratio. That gut bacteria, is bloating after eating, especially. Say you bloat up, your flat tummy's flat, and then you bloat up like you're 4 or 5 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. Constant gas or belching, diarrhea, constipation, and again, that inability to lose weight no matter what you're doing.
Mhm.
Some other things we don't think of are skin irritations, acne, rashes, your sleep is all of a sudden affected where you used to not be like that. You used to get a good night's rest. Because of the gut-brain connection, it's related to anxiety, forgetfulness, brain fog, and those are just the highlights. So the list is extensive, but those are the highlights. So
Wow, that's a that's a long list of things that like you said, making sure that it's not a bigger issue and that you
Mhm.
do seek medical attention first to make sure that, there's not something else going on. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Um, and then in your experience, how does optimizing gut health contribute to overall physical and mental wellness? How does that
It
affect so,
certainly.
like, for yourself, like, for you, like, how has your life changed? Take us back to before when you were struggling to now where you
Mhm.
feel like you've got it figured out.
Oh, okay. That's really good. But yes, the so back then, before my gut was well, I felt like crap, no pun intended, right? Most days of the week. And I did suffer from constipation too. So when your gut bloated, I had abdominal pain up here, up high, right underneath your rib cage. That's where your stomach is. I know everybody's familiar with the pain scale 1 to 10, right? I lived at a pain scale from one at about a 7 for 7 or 8 years. Some days it'd get down to a 5. It was always there. So, and also I dreaded eating. I only ate because I had to, because I didn't know that my doctor, they don't know what you know now.
Right.
And even the foods he told me to eat, it wasn't helping it.
Mm.
So mealtime was just because I had to, and we know there's so much more tied to mealtime, with family and connection and the smell and everything. So those are my big things. It's contributed to my overall health I feel vibrant now. I don't suffer from abdominal pain, and I have a lot more energy because you feel like blah when your gut's not well or you're not feeling well overall. My skin is better. It's smoother, less. It's it radiates per se like a vibrance. And then also, what's the other thing I would like to add here? Mealtime.
Mhm.
I I enjoy mealtime, and because I've got my gut well. There was a time during my period, right during that time when I was transforming my gut, that I gave up certain foods, and it's actually to identify which foods are your triggers,
Mhm.
and those are called, intolerances. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I had to stop them forever, right? That's why you just figure that out, and then guess what? You can normally eat those, but you just can't eat them 3 or 4 days in a row. You could have them 1 or 2 days in a row without any reaction. So I get actually to enjoy a whole lot more foods now that I used to not be able to when my gut was not well, when it was sick. So the other big thing too, here's a big thing, knock on wood, but I have a strong feeling it's related to my gut health because it's proven in the documentation. I hardly ever get a cold, and I have not had COVID.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So
That's
as far
awesome.
as yes, yes,
That's
as
awesome.
right.
That
So
so what in like that's such an inspiration. You're such an inspiration
oh,
because
thank you.
I feel like there's so many medical providers, nurses out there that kind of follow their passions of this was my story. I had to figure it out and I want to help people. Like that's kind of a trend. It's so good to know that there's people out there like you who found the answers and that you're now living a better, healthier, happier life. Um, I'm going to share all of your contact information where people can find you, your Instagram, your Facebook, your
Mhm.
website. I found you on LinkedIn, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
we did. Yeah, I'm so glad we
And
found each other.
yes, yes. So it's, I'm just always out there for my own education, trying to find people who can help my patients, who I can share.
Mm,
Like if there's because we live in, even though the world is big, the internet, all of these different, social media platforms have made us like easier to connect,
it
easier to
has.
find education. So I want to thank you so, so much for doing this interview today and sharing your journey and sharing a lot of great tips and I just think that if you're struggling, you should reach out to Rachel. She can maybe point you in the right direction, maybe help you get it figured out. Again, I think this is awesome that a nurse out there can, help people, help clients. Anything else you want to share?
Let's see. I'm just grateful that we found each other. And, yes, if you want to achieve optimal health, then it should begin with your gut.
Mhm.
So that's just how I believe, and I've seen it help so many. So yeah,
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate your
thank
time.
you.
And again, all of her contact information I will have below, and you can reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.